Hello and welcome to Learning Computer Applications and Architectural Design. This video is going to address the topic of using curves to generate surfaces, and we're specifically going to be looking at the sweep commands. These are really great for generating rails or profiles or long linear types of modeled elements. A rail, or a sweep I should say, comes in two types. There's a sweep 1, which requires a rail or a guide curve, and a profile. Why don't we go here to our front view. Let's put a point sort of to help locate us here. Let's put a point at the world origin. Okay. And let's go in here and let's do a polyline. And why don't we let's draw a shape that looks like this. Okay. Next, let's make sure project is on. And let's go up here and select a curve. And we're going to make a guide rail. Let's find our point. And we'll sort of have it stretch out, and then I'll go a little bit like that. Okay, so what I next do is I type in sweep 1 and then ask for my guide and my profile, and it gives you a series of options which allow you to sort of control how this sweep is formed. Similar to what we were looking at with lofting, you can rebuild your curves using a variety of control points. So this is more useful when you're working with sweep 2 with 2 rail curves, making sure that they are evenly divided. But if you use it here, what it's doing is it's changing how many control points you have. So in this case, you can see how changing this is affecting how my guide rail, my profile is divided up. So why don't we do this at 10, or more simply, we'll say do not simplify. And if we do simple sweep, there we go. So simple sweep is following the polylineal shape that I was trying to form. Okay, let's look at this again using this time 2 guide rails. So let's find our curves. So let's make sure that my surface is in my surface layer. I'm going to select curve. Make sure all my curves are on my curve layer. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to push this over here. Okay. And why don't let's take a closer look. So this time, why don't we copy this same curve? Make sure your project is off, and we're going to have a curve that defines one end of the section and a curve that defines the top end of the section. So here, let's change this curve a little bit. So why don't we do points on, and let's look at shaping. Giving a little bit of shape. So firstly, project. Let's affect things in the XY plane. And let's give this a little bit of a... Okay. So now let's look at it in the YZ. So here's my ending curve. So why don't we bring this ending curve down, this one down as well. Okay, and then this one we'll start to bring down here too. Okay, so let's type in sweep 2. Choose the first rail, the second rail, and your profile. Hit OK. Let's do simple sweep. And we'll preview it. And there is our profile that gets transformed as it moves between these two rails. So it starts there and ends there. That looks pretty good. If we don't do simple sweep, we can always use these rebuild tactics. And we can also change how it is refit, or how accurately it matches those curves. But it's a very good tool for generating shapes that change over a length. Now let's take one more sort of shot at looking at closed curves. So why don't we clear off our table? So we'll lock our point layer. This time let's look at closed shapes. So for one, the easiest way to do this is, say you want to draw a pipe. You select a curve, you type in pipe, and then it allows you to choose circular profiles along the ends, and it will generate a pipe around a curve. So this is also interesting because what you could do is, if you do pipe, you can change sort of where these different profiles occur. So here, right, it will go small to big, and then you can graduate it. So we'll go like this. Oh, excuse me. So let's do small, big, and then we'll do one of them, and we'll do one here where we are a little bigger, and one here where we are a little bigger. Okay. So you can see that there's a series of radiuses which enable this pipe to be constructed. So that's pipe. It is similar to sweep in that it is sweeping a profile along a direction. So let's draw a curve. We'll draw something that looks like that. And here, instead of a pipe, let's do a rectangle. So why don't we hit sweep 1, and you select your guide curve and your profile, and change the seam. And in this case, similar to what we saw with array, the style depends on whether or not its normal rotates by your view. So here we can do refit rail. We can rebuild it with a variety of accuracy, or we can not simplify it, and it keeps its form along that curve. Let's take one more look at sweep 2 with closed curves. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to associate this curve to the bottom, and why don't we just do something simple here like a mirror. Okay, so now we want to see how this rectangle sweeps between these two mirrored curves. So we're going to do sweep, first rail, second rail, the rectangle. Okay. And there we are looking at a box which sweeps between these two curves. So effectively it is switching positions as it moves through. And we can also, again, doing the similar things, we can say rebuild, refit within the tolerance. We can maintain a certain height. So if you maintain a height, it is not drastically changing the size of this profile. Okay. So those are two ways of generating a series of surfaces. Now these are poly surfaces because we were not using, first of all, we were using sort of poly lines, and we were not rebuilding them within certain tolerances.